Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass finally took action. I tell you, I don't know how people tolerate the leadership out there. I mean, just remember, it wasn't long ago the city was burning because they wouldn't do their job there. They had the fire chief more interested in pronouns than fighting fires. So finally, she took actions to quell the riots in her city by issuing a regional curfew. Now, reports from this morning stated that dozens of rioters were arrested during the curfew. And there have also been reportedly fewer clashes between rioters and the police as a result. Unfortunately, it looks like protests and riots, though, are spreading outside of Los Angeles to other blue cities, blue lawless cities like Chicago and New York. There are consequences to, coddling criminals and ignoring the law. You enforce the law, and guess what? You have law-abiding citizens. But you coddle criminals, and you refuse to enforce the law, and guess what? You get protests. Your city burns up. Joining us now to talk more about this, Congressman Babin, who is the co-chair of the Congressional Border Security Caucus. He represents the 36th Congressional District of Texas. Dr. Babin, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Always good to be with you, Tony, and thanks so much, Family Research Council.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, should we be surprised that once again we see Los Angeles on fire?
I hate to say it, but these wokesters out there, the radical Democrats, no, it is not surprising to see this happening out there. It's disgusting to see, but I'm afraid they just don't know that they're riding a dead horse. They just continue to do the same thing over and over again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
The American people are fed up with this kind of stuff, and that's why Trump won in a landslide.
Yeah. We probably don't have time to get into this conversation, but there's another layer of this. When you look at these cities that are really tinderboxes for this type of stuff, for agitators that come in, bad governance that's there already, but a lot of it's the breakdown of the family. We cannot ignore the cultural, the social, and even the spiritual aspects of this lawlessness that has been breaking out in cities across our country.
It's demonic, Tony. It really is. I mean, there's indications and evidence that foreign nations are funding some of this. Quite frankly, we know George Soros and some of these leftist groups are as well. And quite frankly and unbelievably, our own federal government, we've found evidence that USAID funding has gone to some of this kind of stuff too. This is what the left wants to do. This is the globalists that hate America, hate Christianity, hate our Constitution, hate Israel. They are the ones that simply want to destroy this country, the greatest in the history of our great planet. And they want to start it over from the ground up, I guess, with a socialist nanny state or communism.
For us on the right, the challenge is a little greater because when we respond to this, and the problem has grown so big over the years, but we still want to operate within the confines of the Constitution and the law. We see those things as fixed, non-negotiable, and so you cannot reestablish law and order through lawlessness. And so that makes it a little more difficult for us. Now, I think, President Trump is aggressive in what he's taking. He's learned from his last term when we had the George Floyd riots. But is there any concern that, we may be going too far, that we've got to keep it within the boundaries and be very careful how we go forward?
Well, you know what? I believe in law and order. I was raised by a mom and a dad, quite frankly, of faculty, school coaches and teachers. If you were bad, they had corporal punishment.
Yep.
There was discipline. And today, I think we just have seen a loss of disciplinary action on the part of our society. And quite frankly, the Democratic Party, we've seen them go soft on crime, open border extremism. I mean, opened borders to the extreme of 10 million plus coming over in the last 4 years. They've defunded the police departments. They've coddled criminals. And now their streets are on fire, with the mobs burning the cars and attacking cops. And what really gets you is they're waving foreign flags.
Right.
And who is standing up defending them? Mayor Bass.
Yeah.
The California governor. The Democrats are doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on a losing strategy.
Dr. Babin, we're coming up on Father's Day this weekend, and I'm wondering where some of the fathers are with some of these kids, and that's a part of our problem. Is that 25% of our kids in America are growing up in homes without fathers. It really comes back to the structure of the family. We've got to bring a focus back on the family and policies that would support, defend the nuclear family.
There is no question about that. And that's why groups like Family Research Council are so valuable to keep us, those of us who are elected officials, keep us grounded in some of the truths that are happening and some of the remedies that we need to do. And quite frankly, as you said, the breakdown of the family is something that I think the Soviet Union, they even way back during the Cold War, they knew that if they could break up the integral family of America, if they could take our churches down and corrupt us, that we would become soft and we would be an easy target for them. And quite frankly, I think they've accomplished quite a bit there. As you know, almost half of marriages end in divorce, or they don't bother to get married anymore. We know the chances of children from divorced parents. They're more likely to be in poverty. They're more likely to get pregnant out of wedlock. In fact, quite frankly, their lives are not as long as fruitful. The strong family is so important.
Absolutely, to the country and to the individuals. Just 30 seconds left. We were going to talk about the rescissions bill. There's a floor vote tomorrow. How does that look, very quickly?
Well, I think we're going to pass it. I wish it was more. It's $9.4 billion. But the stuff, anybody that would try to argue that we don't need to be doing this, I'll give you some examples. 33,000 for being LGBT in the Caribbean, 643,000, same thing in the Western Balkans, Uganda, 3 million for Iraqi Sesame Street, 1 million for programs to strengthen resilience of LGBT queer global movements, 2.5 million teaching young children.
Doc, we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time.